Hey guys, it's Dan. Welcome back. This will be another quick one. Getting into the Halloween spirit here, watching lots of horror movies, and I don't know, I felt like I wanted to bust out the blood effects here for a unit that I need to make a little bit more cohesive. It's a blending of various like medieval, I don't know, Celtic models. That is what I'm kind of going for. But I use Blood for the Blood God from Games Workshop from Citadel. I've seen Tamiya Clear Red used to great effect. There's a lot of products out there, but I really love this stuff. I think it's fantastic. But I apply it in a couple of layers that I think lead to a pretty cool effect. It's my patented 4S method. The first is I'm calling it Splash It On. So you're going to water it down. You saw me there. It's like a 50-50 mix of this stuff. And you can see it's normally quite viscous, but it's going on a lot like a wash here. And this is almost like staining the model, like blood color, and it's going to be a very subtle effect once it dries. So we're going to do this. We can go through and hit all the models we want. I will say with any kind of effect like this, the key is restraint. You can always add more. But if you go kind of too crazy with it, it's going to cover up a lot of the model maybe that you don't intend to. And now we're moving into stippling. So you're going to take the just straight out of the pot paint here, which is quite gelatinous, and you're going to apply it on. You don't want to like glob it anywhere. You're going to do what I'm doing. Use a detail brush that'll help you control the amount that you're applying and ensure that you don't like have like crazy amounts of pooling anywhere. And yeah, you're just going to basically use the first layer you put on sort of that wash layer as a guide, and you're going to build up wherever you want there to be more blood. You're going to build it up in the areas like you see me doing there. I'm like especially focusing on like edges of weapons, things like that, and maybe like a dot here and there on the clothing. Just add a little bit more richness to the color where there might be some like staining on the clothing from before. Same thing here again, focusing on like axe blades, things of that nature. But you can see I'm not applying this stuff everywhere. I think that restraint is key when you're using effects like this to make it look somewhat more realistic, more convincing. And yeah, even over dark areas, you can see it's because it's glossy. It's a gloss effect built in with the red color. It's going to create a nice shine and kind of vary up even on like a dark, heavily patterned model like this. And now we're doing some streaks. Again, this is sort of like I do this in between the stippling step where it works very well in swords, like you see me doing there, edges of shields, like maybe with someone was like bashing with a shield. But basically, instead of using dots with a detail brush, you're going in one direction to create streaks with your paintbrush there. And it, I think, creates a nice look, kind of breaks up the pattern a little bit too. And I find kind of as you're going, maybe there's something wrong with me, I don't know, but it's almost like you're telling stories of like what kind of fights these models have been in. That's why you want to be really strategic about where you're making these placements. I almost imagine the fight that they were having and kind of what would result in terms of battle damage. And we saw this guy a little bit earlier. Same thing here again. I go in and I'll put like dots, like there's like maybe a large spray of blood hit and maybe dried like in his beard or something like that. Again, focusing very heavily on edges of weapons, like you see me doing there. And I don't know why, I really just like the effect of this. I think that it just makes the models look especially gritty, like they're like, mid-battle instead of just before the battle. I always have to stop myself from just applying this on every unit. So yeah, this is like the spray effect that you can also do. And you can use it like any one of these. You can use a combination like I do. But what you want to do is take like what would otherwise be a dry brush, and you're going to dip it in the paint, just like the tip of it there. And you see I'm kind of flicking the end of it. And I put a kind of a barrier up of just paper there that I'm setting these models on, because this is going to spray everywhere behind them. And you're going to, just get it. I start kind of further back, maybe like 4 or 5 inches away, and then work my way forward depending on how intense I want the effect to be. But this creates like really fine particulates that you really can't achieve even with a super fine detail brush. And again, I don't do this with all of them. I'll just pick a handful out and go through and do this. And you can, the longer you go, the more you do this. Obviously, the more of the blood effect will build up on the miniature itself. But you really can't control where it goes, which also leads to cool things like this. Like I didn't expect it was going to spray all over his face, but it looks like the dude just went full the Patriot on whoever it was he was fighting. And this is probably the craziest thing you'll ever see me do on this channel, but this is something I learned a long time ago from making dripping blood effects. And I don't have any hair on my head, but I recommend you use human hair for this. I have cat hair. And what you're going to do is glue the hair onto the end of the weapon, or like whatever it is you're trying to have like a piece of, blood dripping from. And that's what I'm doing there. And yeah, cut it down to size. And what you're going to do is over like 3 coats, I usually do about 3 coats of blood effect, you're going to build up paint over the hair. And you, I guess, could use like very fine thread, but I've found anything other than hair is too thick. But you can see, yeah, there's multiple layers building up the paint, and by like the third, or even the second, but certainly by the 4th layer, what you're going to end up with is, I think, a really convincing blood drip effect. Anyway, there you go. So for anybody that's stuck through to the end there, there's a little weird hobby tip for you. But this is the finished unit. So ready for a tournament I'll be taking them to next week. There'll be like 3 units of 15, but certainly ready for Halloween in the meantime. So I appreciate you guys dropping by for this quick one. I'll have some more review content coming soon. But until next time, happy gaming.